Hey there, sir. What's up?
What's going on, man?
How you doing?
Just kicking it, man. Everything going well, man. Glad we back for another week.
Gotcha, gotcha. Just want to thank everybody for watching our videos, looking at our shorts and everything. Thanks for going to YouTube at Gents Making Sense. We try to get something out every week with topics that meaningful to our community.
Yeah, thanks everybody for watching and we like the comments. I mean, some of them are trolls and they try to gaslight us, but we're two men and we're going to talk about what we think is important to our community.
Right. And,
But let's
and
roll.
our opinion is our opinion. And you
Right,
can't do a damn thing about it.
right,
There you
absolutely.
go. So what we're gonna talk about tonight, the fight over our voice, what's really happening with the voting in 2026 and what black men must do now. So it's a big deal right now. Everybody wants you to look at what's going on in Iran, the war. I would say that don't have nothing to do with you, but it does. You can look at oil prices and see that war over there has a lot to do with what's going on here. But it's still, while that is going on, we still got this SAVE Act that's already passed Congress, and they're trying to get it through the Senate to curtail our voting rights and everything. We have a vice president while we're in an active war going over to Hungary and campaigning for a dictator.
Yep.
So they're not just trying to take over America; they're trying to take over the world. That's ridiculous. We got elections going on right here that the vice president could be working on, and he's over in Hungary. And we're not even going to talk about that too much because Hungary is Russia's
Mhm.
biggest ally, you know? So it sounds kind of crazy for our vice president to be over there stomping and politicking for a dictator that's in bed with the Russians.
And
Crazy. Let's go and get our show started. I don't want to go. Sometimes it feels like history just keeps looping around, repeating itself. Every generation of black man ends up fighting for the same thing: voices that count, votes that matters, the future we can actually shape. Uh, I'll leave it there. You can go ahead.
Fact, man, facts. And here we are in 2026 watching new laws, new restrictions, new barriers pop up like clock. But the difference now, we see the play, we understand the stakes, and we're ready to fight.
So today we're gonna break down exactly what's happening with voting in this country and what black men need to be doing right now to protect our power and everything. And in the first segment, we're gonna talk about what's actually happening. So go
Yeah,
ahead and give them a little taste of it.
absolutely. All right, let's get straight to it. First thing, voting rules are tightening across the country. States are cutting early voting, adding stricter ID rules, limiting mail in ballots, and polling places in Black neighborhoods, specifically Black neighborhoods.
And none of these laws say black men on paper, but we know who get hit hardest. Long lines, fewer location, more hoops to jump through. It's targeting without saying it's targeting. Yeah, and it's always targeted at the black man for the most part.
Yeah, and the second thing is redistricting. A lot of states are redrawing maps in ways that break up Black voting strength. That means fewer districts where our vote actually influences or gets elected.
There you go. And while this is happening, race conscious programs are being challenged. Scholarships, diversity program, pipeline program, community health program. It's all part of the same strategy, weakening the support system that help black communities move forward. And with that, we're going to just talk a little bit about this bill that the president is pushing, the SAFE Act, the Save American Act. And like I said, it has passed Congress and they're trying to get it through the Senate. That's where it's going to be a big sticking ground because you need 60 votes in the Senate. And right now they don't have it. And Donald Trump has been stomping to get the Republicans in the Senate to drop the filibuster for this bill so it could get through. So far, Senator Thune, the leader for the Republican Party in the Senate, have stood strong and said he won't gonna get rid of the filibuster. So we'll see what happens when the distractions go away and this be the biggest thing out there. Donald Trump is trying, and I know I'm getting off a little bit here, but I need to say this. Donald Trump is getting off, trying to get rid of this war as fast as possible so he can concentrate on the elections coming up.
Mhm.
He knows that he can't realistically, because he will, but he knows that he can't realistically concentrate on elections when he got a full-out war going on with a country like Iran. Today's agreement or yesterday's agreement for a ceasefire is just a paper tiger. It's not worth the paper is written on. Besides degrading their defense, some of their defense and protection plans and everything, and besides making it a little bit harder for them to go on the offense and shoot missiles all around the world, I don't believe we're in too much better shape than we was before we attacked them and everything. So I just want to let that be known. Okay, you can go ahead, Suleiman.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, that was gonna be my, my end comment is, Trump is exactly what he's always been, which is a coward and a bully. And Iran pulled his coattail.
Yep.
I mean, he's on TV talking about he's going to wipe out a civilization, and then come to find out he backed down and signed a 2-week ceasefire. I'm not sure because I haven't had opportunity to look it up. I don't even know if Iran has opened up the strait yet. And Iran has basically said, when we open it back up, there's going to be a heck of a charge to come through it.
Told. Yep.
So basically, what you're doing is you're giving Iran more money, right? They
Yep.
control it. No ship is going to come through there and not pay the toll because then they're going to get bombed. They're going to blow the ships up. So
Yeah.
all these companies that are tracking oil through there that the world needs, they're going to pay it. And what's Trump doing? Sitting over here in the White House, protected by the United States military, running his mouth as if he controls anything.
Yeah.
Don't control anything. So
Nothing.
yeah, but yeah, exactly. A lot of folks don't have immediate access to their birth certificates in reference to this bill, passport or citizenship documents, and getting those documents costs money, time, and access. Things a lot of working class Black men don't have an abundance of. And to go on that a little bit more, we talked about it last week, but what state do anybody live in? What state does anyone live in that doesn't require identification? What state do you live in that doesn't require that you prove who you are? Like here in the Commonwealth, we used to have voting cards, but in order to get a voting card, you had to prove that you were a U.S. citizen. Non-U.S. citizens are not voting in our elections. This is a problem looking for, a non
A solution.
for a
A
solution.
solution.
A
Yeah.
solution looking
You're
for a
looking for a
problem.
problem. There you go. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But go ahead.
Yeah. Let's go back a little bit, and we talked a little bit about this last week. The proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote, and like I said, that consists of a birth certificate or a passport, along with a picture ID. So it's not just that, and it sounds simple on paper. It sounds simple, but in real life, it creates new barriers for millions of eligible voters. I think the last number that I heard, with this new law, 22 million Americans will be put out of the voting ranks or will be unfairly burdened to come up with these IDs to register to vote and everything. Plus, the bill adds new verification steps for mail-in ballots. So even if you're registered, even if you're eligible, one small mistake could get your ballot tossed out. And this is really a bad thing for women because women normally register to vote when they're 18, 20, 21, and then they go get married. And now they're saying your ID don't match your registration or your birth certificate. So now you got to go get a new form of ID, mainly a passport that has the same name as your picture ID now. It's little stuff like that. Just like they used to have black people counting marbles. How
Yep.
many marbles in a
Or
drawer?
jelly bean.
Yeah. So it's little stuff that disenfranchise people that gets you mad.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what it is that they're doing. But this is why we're saying, and before I go along, I just want to say to remind Black folks, and I try to do this a lot, is that you need to keep in mind these corporations that set up behind this president and supported these tactics that they're doing. You need to remember because Trump's not going to be in office forever. At some point, there's going to be another president that is going to try or attempt to bring this country back to sanity. And you need to remember these organizations, these companies, Amazon, Walmart, and all these big box companies that have no issue with falling in line with what Trump is doing right now that affects you because they're going to come back to you and want you to buy their product. But I think you should keep in mind where you shop and where you spend your money on who is standing with you or against you in the time of in peril that we're going through in this country right now. But I'll
Mhm.
move on. This
Okay.
is why we're saying the landscape is shifting fast. And if we were not paying attention, we're going to look up and realize the goalpost moved while we were busy trying to survive.
So true. Think the nonprofits. I think the NAACP, the ACLC, or I think that's it. Organizations like that help people get out and vote. I think they need to be mobilizing right now. I think they should, just in case the bill does pass and it becomes law, I think they should be ready for it.
Mhm.
I think they should be taking people to get their, whichever is easier for a person. A lot of people don't have any intention of going outside the country, so why would they pay for a passport? Just go ahead and get your birth certificate and put it with your important paper like your social security. Go ahead and have it available,
Yep.
so that this will be a non-issue. So all the people where your kids are turning 18 years old and this will be their first voting opportunity, when you go get their driving license, get their birth certificate at the same time and have it available so that if it does pass, we're ready.
Mhm.
And say if you're always ready, you don't have to get ready.
Right.
So let's do that. So let's move on and say so why this matters for Black men. Here's the part that folks don't talk about enough. Black men are swing voters. Small changes in our turnout shift entire states. And this has never been more true than I believe personally in the last election. Donald Trump got the biggest Black vote of any Republican president ever.
Mhm.
That made a difference.
Mhm.
Sadly, that made a difference. So, and the biggest majority was men. Somewhere between 18 and 20% of Black men voted for Donald Trump. I didn't believe it. Didn't believe it until I've seen all the data, and the data shows that that was what happened. Whereas in the Black women vote, he got less than 10% of Black women to vote for him,
Sure.
somewhere in the 8% margin or somewhere in there, 7%. So, yeah, that's why it means a lot to us.
Well, you just need that. I mean, my question would be to any of those folks is, how you like me now?
Exactly.
And,
So true.
right. I mean, all those, those Black men, these podcast bros and Charlamagne the God, that idiot, and Stephen A. Smith and these clowns, they don't live like you. And people, Black men need to realize that they're not us. They don't live like us. They don't have to deal with the type of stuff that we have to deal with. So they can go out and say outrageous, ridiculous stuff, and there's no consequence to them because they don't live the life that you live. So just keep that in mind. And
Exactly.
when we access shrinks, the communities with the least margin, I'm sorry, and when access shrinks, the communities with the least margin for error feel it the most, which is what I was just saying. That's us. We're the ones working long hours, juggling responsibilities, trying to make it all fit.
Exactly. And you know what? If we don't show up, somebody else gets to decide how our families are policed, how our kids are educated, how our communities are funded. Silence becomes a strategy. If you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. So if you think that you sitting out the vote, you helped out, because you can say I didn't like Kamala Harris, but I didn't vote for Donald Trump either, so I won't so bad.
Yep.
Uh, nah,
No, I,
nah.
I
And I might take a little flack behind this, but I'd rather for you had voted for Donald Trump than to have voted than not voted at all.
do right now. All right, so let's talk solutions. First, check your voter status today. Check it again tomorrow. Check it again next week, next month. Make sure you're good to go so there are no issues when you go to the voting booth. Not next week, today. States have been quietly purging voter rolls for the last couple of years, and it's going to get worse as we get closer to election day.
Yeah, go ahead for me. Keep.
So, second, learn your state's new rules, deadlines, ID requirements, early voting windows. They've changed. Don't get caught sleeping. They're going to try to do everything they can to keep you away from it. Third, vote early in your state if it allows. Early voting is cheat code. No long lines, no last minute surprises, easy access. You get your vote counted. Fourth,
Good.
bring one man with you, your brother, your coworker, your barber, your cousin. One man bringing one man changes everything.
Good.
Fifth, support local organizations doing the work. There are a lot of organizations that are out there that are trying to get out the vote. They got accurate information. They can provide you with that. They can also assist you with getting to the voting booths. Look for them to help you out. Share information, volunteer for something, help elders get to the polls. Power is built locally. We owe our elders the assistance to go and vote because they're the ones that were physically harmed and had their rights taken away from them when they were younger. We owe that to them. And last, stay informed without drowning in news. Pick one trusted source and stick with it. Protect your mental space. And I will finish by saying this: the internet is not a trusted source. X, X is not a trusted source. So even stuff that we say, go look it up. Research stuff that you hear from us, but the internet is not a trusted source.
Yeah, speaking of Charlemagne the God and the Breakfast Club, they have had the rapper up there last week, Ray Sherman, something like that, his name. He's a rapper, young guy. Said he caught hell for saying that he didn't like Kamala Harris, and he had to backtrack a little bit because he said he didn't mean he didn't like her. He didn't like her policies, and he didn't like what she stood for, and he didn't know much about it. He just thought Donald Trump was good for the country and stuff. And he said he looked online and listened to some podcasts and stuff, and he made a decision. And they said, who did you vote for? After all that, he said nobody.
Really? But see,
Nobody.
that's the ignorance that we have in our community.
Yeah.
When you have these idiots like Charlamagne the God bringing these rappers on, why do we care what a rapper has to say about politics? Why do we care what Charlamagne the God has to say about politics? Why do we care what Joe Rogan has to say about politics or Bill Maher? These guys, again, don't live our lives. They're not involved in history. They're not involved in reality. They're about getting clicks and getting people to watch their content.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I got to give Charlamagne the God credit because he told him, he pretty much chastised the young man and told him, said, even if you didn't like Kamala Harris, you should have you should have talked to people that are, he said, you are a young man of many resources. You could have talked to any amount of people that were smart about politics that could gave you better information than you had. So I have to give him credit for at least telling him that. And he said, and he also told him what I think you should vote for somebody, even if it wasn't Kamala Harris and everything. But as black men, and we're gonna kind of wrap this all up and put it in a bow and everything. Our ancestors fought for our voices. Our parents fought to keep it. Now it's on us to protect it. With that said, I just can't understand for the life of me why we can't get it as black people, get it through our thick skulls that people died for you to take that time to go in and say yay or nay yes for this person, no for that person. Even if it's not a popular thing, people died for you to have that choice. Why wouldn't you go and do it? Why wouldn't you go and vote? We have really got to get people to understand the power of the vote, because I don't believe a lot of people understand the power of the vote. They think their vote is just one vote. Your vote is not one vote, it's one of many. And when teams win championships, they don't win championships with one person. We already know that.
Yeah.
If they don't win, your vote, your one vote is just part of a team effort. So you got to be part of a team effort. And that's what we're talking about, really. We're talking about a team effort. So go ahead. I think I took your space there, and I
Yeah,
apologize
no,
for
it's
that.
all good. It's all good.
Yeah, go ahead.
This isn't about politics. It's about
Mhm.
power, black stability, black future. When black men show up, the whole country shifts. And just to close out a little bit with, um, these entertainers, and I always say that 99.9% of black people in this country get it, and they understand what's at stake here. But the people that the powers that be in this country throw in front of us all the time are the people we were just talking about. There are plenty of scholars, educators, historians that the media or people who don't have our best interests in mind could go and talk to if they wanted to learn the truth. But instead, they throw Stephen A. Smith in our face and they give him a platform to come out and be a buffoon, step and fetch him, talking about things that he's not educated on, or some podcast person who has no accountability. Those podcast guys can say whatever they want. Nobody holds them accountable. Nobody comes back to them and says, what you said is wrong. They never come back and say, you know what, I was uneducated on something, and here's the actual truth. So we needed to understand, and I said this last time, is that this is an operation against us, people who don't want us to be successful, to keep us separated. And the way you do that is to find people who are popular from an entertainment standpoint and put them out in front to make comments. Malcolm X talked about this 50 years ago. Show me,
Yeah.
show me in any other community where podcast people, entertainers, rappers, movie stars are the spokespeople for your community. Show me in any other community in the United States where that's the person that you put out in front to discuss community issues. We're the only one that allow people to put a microphone in front of Snoop Dogg's mouth and let him talk about politics. So until we as a people start shunning those folks and not listening to them and actually listening to our scholars and listening to our educators about what's going on in this country, we're going to continue to be where we are. Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like you said, Malcolm X said this a long time ago. It's not practical. So as black men, we need to show up. We need to stay sharp. We need to protect and build our communities. We need to make sure the next generation is going to be ready for the onslaught, because it's coming. Donald Trump is one person. He couldn't do all this alone, so he had help. Even if he fall off the face of the earth today, there'll still be MAGA around here.
Mhm.
And just don't underestimate the power and the strength of MAGA and what Donald Trump has built. He will have one legacy of nothing else. He brought a group of people that are just plain evil to the forefront in America, that try to separate and tear down all that we built over 249 years, 250 after this year. Uh, it's just set. Most countries build for the future. They don't build to go backwards. For the last 10 years since Donald Trump has been in the spotlight, we have tried our best to go backwards. We try to put black people and brown people in their place. We've tried to let women know that they're not welcome in leadership roles. We've done things in the last 10 years since Donald Trump has been in the forefront that just don't make no sense. We've let evangelistic churches have let the devil himself in their doors and let the devil guide them on how them and their flock should go.
Right.
This man is a criminal. This man is a pedophile. This man has 4 kids with 3 different wives. He brags about feeling on women. But these religious leaders still stand by him. And you cannot continually say that even God forgives. I never said you shouldn't forgive him, but you shouldn't follow him for sure.
Right. Well,
That's
hey,
good.
look, that's a good point, man. I'll just finish it up and say that, I've always said I have faith, but I don't know where, evangelists and the Christian right has found this, this unicorn of a God that they claim to worship. God has never been that way. God has never been this unicorn of a God that's going to forgive everything that you've done. No, there are pillars and responsibilities and accountability that's laid out in religion, every religion. Things that you are required to do if you want to make it to wherever you think you're going. And the people who are doing what they're doing today and across this world, there's going to be a time that you got to pay that back. There's going to be a time where you have to face what you've done. You can't go around the world in the country and pillage and rape and murder and do things that are completely against what you claim to believe in, and then think in the 11th hour that you're going to make donations to some organization or talk about how much you love God, and then all of a sudden you're going to make it to paradise. That's not the way it works. It's just not. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, that's a true statement. It's gonna come back on you. You might not feel it right now, but it's gonna come back. And a lot of people, myself included, some days I wake up and say, why? Why does it feel like they're winning? Why does it feel like evil is winning, God? Why does it feel like that? Some days I wake up like that, but I'm reassured every day when I talk to people of faith and I dip back into my faith and understand that in due time, they will pay, and goodness and people with great moral values and character will come out on top sooner or later.
Absolutely. And, don't take what we're saying as weakness, because you might end up meeting that person a little bit sooner than you think if we come over this way with some of that knowledge.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So, yeah, and that's what we want our black men to be. We want them to be a pillar of strength. We want them to be the people that our young kids go to, especially our young men, go to and seek guidance and everything in all our different communities. I can see a little bit of that now. Men are more prevalent in the household now these days. I believe. I haven't seen the totals yet, but it just seems to me that the strong male figure is coming back to some extent.
yeah,
That's my opinion.
absolutely. And that's where we need to be. I mean, that's where we need to be, black men. That's where God put us here. That's our role on this earth, is to be in our families, be the leader, be the profiteer, the provider, and provide security for our family. That's our role here on earth. So,
There you go.
all right.
So good one. So on another note, do you have one for the day?
I said it
For
earlier, and
people?
I'm not gonna get too much more into it, but um, our president is showing everybody how weak he is. I mean, he's a bully. He makes threats. When somebody steps back to him, he backs down like the coward that we all know he is. We can't go around the world bombing everybody, starting wars without our allies behind us. Attacking countries, like Iran, that have been here for thousands of years, and think people are just going to back down. That's not the way it works. So I'll end it with that.
Yeah, and I'll just piggyback on that. Donald Trump got this week what he always get. He causes a problem, make a problem, then our military make him look good, and he takes the credit for it. Him and his goons take the credit for it. Those men should have never been shot down in the beginning. These young airmen, sailors, soldiers that all came together with one thing in mind to save this brave colonel, Air Force colonel. He was what we call a WISO, weapon system officer, flying the backseat of a 15E jet. They found this man, they saved this man, gonna bring him back home to his family. which he shouldn't have been away from in to start with. And all the credit go to Donald Trump. They sat up there on that stage and say, without Donald Trump's leadership, we would have never been able to do this. The hell? This man don't know nothing about military maneuvers, what it took, what kind of effort it took to find this man. Come on, man. I gotta end it with that before I,
There ain't nothing else to say about it.
yeah. Well, thank y'all a lot. This is Gents Making Sense, and today we made it plain and simple for you. Get out the vote, make a plan, okay?
See everybody, man.
Thanks a lot, sir.
All right.
Okay.
We good?
That